Desire is one of the most powerful forces in a man's life. It can build civilizations or destroy destinies. It can inspire poetry, innovation, courage, and devotion, or it can enslave the mind and weaken the will. Semen retention, at its core, is not about repression. It is about redirection. It is the art of transforming desire from a wildfire that consumes into a furnace that forges. When practiced with understanding and discipline, desire does not disappear. It becomes fuel. Many men misunderstand desire. They believe it must either be indulged or suppressed. Indulgence leads to temporary relief, followed by fatigue and restlessness. Suppression, without understanding, leads to frustration and inner tension. But there is a third path, transmutation. In this path, desire is neither worshipped nor feared. It is harnessed. Semen retention teaches a man that his sexual energy is not merely physical. It is psychological, emotional, and even spiritual. It is the same energy that drives ambition, creativity, leadership, and perseverance. The urge that pushes a man toward pleasure is the same force that can push him toward greatness. The difference lies in direction. When a man constantly releases, he often lives in cycles. Urge, pursuit, release, exhaustion. This cycle can quietly shape his life. His focus narrows. His motivation dips. His confidence fluctuates. He may not notice it at first because the habit feels normal. But over time, the subtle depletion becomes evident in his discipline, his attention span, and his drive. Retention interrupts that cycle. When a man chooses to hold his seed, he is not denying his nature. He is confronting it. He is saying, "I will not be ruled by impulse." That decision alone begins to strengthen his will. The moment of temptation becomes a training ground. Each time he overcomes the urge, he deposits strength into his character. Desire, instead of being discharged outwardly, begins to build inwardly. It accumulates as tension, but this tension is not negative. It is potential energy. Like water behind a dam, it waits for direction. Without purpose, it may feel overwhelming. But with vision, it becomes propulsion. The key to transforming desire into fuel is purpose. A man practicing retention without purpose will struggle. He will feel restless, irritable, and confused. The energy has nowhere to go. But a man with clear goals, physical, intellectual, financial, or spiritual, finds that his stored energy naturally seeks expression through effort. He wakes up with intensity. He trains harder. He studies longer. He works deeper. He speaks with more presence. His eyes sharpen. His posture straightens, not because of magic, but because energy follows attention. And attention becomes powerful when it is not constantly scattered. Desire is fundamentally creative. Sexual energy is life-generating energy. It has the power to create another human being. When that power is conserved, it seeks other forms of creation. Men on retention often report increased creativity, not just artistically, but strategically. They see opportunities more clearly. They take initiative more boldly. They feel driven to build. This is not mystical. It is psychological and biological. When you deny yourself easy gratification, your brain recalibrates its reward system. You begin to find satisfaction in progress rather than pleasure alone. Hard tasks become more rewarding. Delayed gratification becomes natural. Desire becomes fuel for growth. Retention also deepens emotional stability. When a man is constantly chasing stimulation, his emotions fluctuate with his habits. But when he holds his energy, he begins to experience desire without being controlled by it. He can sit with the urge. He can observe it. He can choose his response. This strengthens self-awareness. Self-awareness strengthens confidence. True confidence is not loud. It is quiet control. It is the knowledge that you can master yourself. When a man knows he is not a slave to his impulses, he carries himself differently. He does not need validation as desperately. He does not seek attention as intensely. His presence becomes grounded. Women, colleagues, and even strangers can sense this steadiness. It is not about being superior. It is about being centered. When desire is mastered internally, a man's external behavior becomes more intentional. Another transformation occurs: clarity. Excessive indulgence clouds perception. It trains the mind to objectify and to chase fantasy. Retention clears that fog. A man begins to see people more holistically. Conversations become deeper. His gaze becomes direct rather than distracted. His attention becomes more respectful and focused. Desire, once chaotic, becomes disciplined. However, retention is not easy. The first weeks can feel intense. Urges may surge. Thoughts may become intrusive. This is the detoxification of habit. The body and brain are adjusting. The old pathways are weakening. This period is critical. Many quit here because the discomfort feels overwhelming. But discomfort is a sign of transformation. A refining fire burns away impurities. In the same way, retention exposes weaknesses, addictions, insecurities, emotional dependencies. Instead of numbing these feelings with release, the man must face them. This confrontation is what builds resilience. Over time, the energy stabilizes. The urgency softens in a steady drive. The man no longer feels controlled by desire. He feels empowered by it. The discipline gained through retention spills into other areas of life. If you can resist your strongest biological urge, smaller temptations lose power. Junk food becomes easier to avoid. Laziness becomes less appealing. Procrastination becomes less dominant. The will strengthens across the board. Desire becomes fuel not only for ambition, but for self-mastery. Yet it is important to approach retention with balance. The goal is not hatred of sexuality. Sexual energy is natural and healthy. The goal is not to reject intimacy or relationships. Rather, it is to develop sovereignty over one's impulses so that intimacy becomes intentional rather than compulsive. A man who retains for a season learns control. A man who understands retention learns wisdom. He knows when to conserve and when to express. He is not extreme. He is strategic. One of the most profound effects of retention is the transformation of frustration into productivity. Sexual tension, when held consciously, sharpens focus. It increases alertness. It pushes the body toward action. Many great achievements in history were driven by redirected desire. Men channeling longing into conquest, invention, art, and leadership. The difference between self-destruction and self-creation often lies in how desire is handled. Without discipline, desire weakens a man. With discipline, it strengthens him. Retention also builds patience. In a culture obsessed with instant gratification, the ability to wait is rare. When you practice holding back immediate pleasure, you train yourself to endure delay. This patience translates into business, relationships, and personal development. You stop demanding quick results. You understand that growth takes time. Patience compounds into success. As weeks turn into months, many men report a sense of inner heat, an intensity that feels alive. This is not aggression. It is vitality. It is the feeling of being charged. When directed properly, through exercise, work, study, or spiritual practice, it becomes unstoppable momentum. Join the Retain to Thrive Telegram channel at the link below. Subscribe to this YouTube channel and share the video. But without direction, that same intensity can turn into irritability or arrogance. That is why humility is essential. Retention is not about superiority. It is about stewardship. The energy you hold is a gift, and it must be handled with responsibility. Desire becomes fuel only when guided by character. Character acts as the engine that uses the fuel effectively. Without it, energy is wasted. With it, energy becomes transformative. Another subtle change occurs in identity. A man who practices retention begins to see himself differently. He is no longer just reacting to urges. He becomes proactive in shaping his life. This shift from reactive to intentional living is powerful. It alters decisions, habits, and long-term direction. He begins to ask, where should this energy go? What can I build? Who can I become? Those questions ignite evolution. Retention teaches that desire is not the enemy. Weakness is. Scatter focus is. Uncontrolled indulgence is. Desire itself is neutral. It is raw power. Like fire, it can cook food or burn a house. The outcome depends on discipline. When a man learns to sit with desire without immediately acting on it, he develops mental toughness. He learns that urges rise and fall like waves. They are temporary. This realization frees him. He no longer feels desperate. He feels capable. Capability breeds confidence. Confidence breeds action. Action breeds results. And results reinforce discipline. This cycle is the opposite of the indulgence cycle. Instead of urge leading to exhaustion, urge leads to effort. Effort leads to growth. Growth leads to fulfillment. Desire becomes fuel for becoming. There is also a spiritual dimension for those who seek it. Many traditions speak of conserving life force, of purifying the body and mind, of strengthening the spirit through discipline. Retention aligns with these principles. It calls a man to rise above instinct and live deliberately. It is not about perfection. There may be setbacks. What matters is persistence. Each attempt strengthens awareness. Each struggle builds resilience. Ultimately, semen retention is a training ground for mastery. It teaches that the strongest force within you does not have to control you. It can empower you. When desire becomes fuel, a man stops asking, "How can I satisfy this urge?" and begins asking, "How can I use this energy?" That shift changes everything. He builds instead of chases. He creates instead of consumes. He leads instead of follows. He becomes steady instead of scattered. Desire does not disappear. It transforms. It sharpens the mind, strengthens the body, deepens the spirit, and fortifies the will. It becomes the quiet fire in the belly that pushes a man toward excellence. And when that fire is guided by purpose, humility, and discipline, it does not burn him. It forges him. Desire becomes fuel. And fuel, when directed wisely, moves mountains.